What's up, guys? Bluntcuts here. I am doing a Watcher of Realms video for you today, and today we are talking about everybody's least favorite hero. That's right, we're talking about Azhor. He is a shitter. He is bad, from what I know. As you can see, I've heavily invested in him. He is level 1. I have absolutely no gear on him. I have not skilled anything up. But with that said, he's very unique, and there are some cool things about him. Some things that I wish they would buff him. I wish he was a better hero. But beyond that, I wish that they would take some of the ideas that went into his kit, and I wish they would translate them over to the other defenders. Namely, what we see in this talent right here: damage scales off of defense. That's it. That's the only thing that I want to talk about as far as Azhor is concerned. I want all defenders to scale off of defense. I don't understand this design decision to want to, if you want your defenders to do any kind of damage, then you have to stack stats that are not going to help them do their job. It just doesn't make any sense. So as far as I know, there's only two heroes in the game that, two defenders in the game, really heroes, I think, right? Which scale off of defense as far as their damage is concerned. So I don't know why that's the case. I do think that at some point that is going to change. They're either going to introduce more heroes into the game that do scale off of defense, or they're going to shift it, which is how it should be, so that all defenders are going to scale off of defense, which really is by far the smartest thing that they could do. It would make so many pieces that you get, like I'd say about a third of the maybe it's more like a quarter of the pieces that you get in the gear raids are defense based, and they don't do anything. There's really no use for them in the game outside of heroes like this. Outside of the two heroes that I mentioned, which are Gon and Azhor. Gon is incredible. Azhor is awful. So you really have only one hero that you would be stacking those on. So as far as gearing is concerned, really what you're going to want to do with him, you have two decisions to make. If you want to build him as a tank, then you're going to stack HP, which again is kind of counterintuitive. So they need to overhaul the defense stat in general, because as of right now, you have two options. You can either stack defense percent gear on the right to increase his damage, but because defense percent doesn't scale anywhere near as well as HP percent does, he's not going to be a very good tank. So that sucks. Or what you can do is you can stack HP percent and build him like every other tank in the game, non-Gon tier, and that's going to put you in a spot where he probably can take some hits. Let's take a look, since I don't have him leveled up. Let's take a look and just see what his stats are in here. Where are you, Azhor? You ugly dwarf, you. He's not ugly. What am I talking? I think he's actually a pretty good-looking champion. That's right. Don't feel bad about yourself, buddy. So let's take a look at the hero details. We'll max level him. So I was wrong. He's got bad stats. He's got bad stats on top of the fact that he's just, and maybe this is part of the reason why he's a bad hero. So his defense is only 3248, which just seems ridiculous considering that he is a defense scaling hero. Brokir, for example, who's not a defense scaling hero, he has 4,000 base attack or base defense. So why is it that Azhor only has 3,200? I don't get it. Why does he have 33? He doesn't need 3,300 attack. He doesn't get anything from attack. It should be like 10. I don't get it. His HP is 23k. Okay, that's bad. That's what Constance has. Constance isn't designed to take hits. Maybe Azhor isn't designed to take hits. I don't get what they were thinking when they built this character. I mean, it's kind of like the Cratch buff that they just put out, where they reduced his cost from 24 to 22, and he's still just bad. Whether his cost was 5 or 30, he's awful. So why is Azhor in the same spot? I mean, I guess the only redeeming thing is that he doesn't have this big cost that a lot of the offensive tanks seem to have, like Torador and like Orym. They're both 25 costs. I don't know what Gon's is. Let's take a look at Gon and just see. I'm curious what Gon's stats are, actually, now that we're talking about it. So let's max level him. See, Gon has 4,017 defense. That makes sense. Like, why would he not be that? His cost is only 19 as well. I don't understand how these are the same. He's got 28k base HP. This is how an offensive defender should be base statted. He really it doesn't make any sense. Some of the decisions in this game, it's like they intentionally wanted some of these heroes to be bad, and I just do not get it. So in any case, we were talking about gearing. What you're going to want to do with the shitter, aka Azhor, you are going to want to put primarily. I think he's not going to be a very good defender, is really what it kind of comes down to. Let's look at his skills. So his ultimate, each strike causes 120% damage for up to 5 enemies. So AoE damage, that's cool. If he did more damage, it would be cool anyway. Deals 100% damage to one enemy. Each attack builds up energy of the hammer. After 10 strikes, the hammer enters the heated state. I don't know what that means. Probably should have read his skills before we did this, but in any case, each attack increases defense by 1% up to 10 stacks. That's kind of cool, 10% defense. Although, if you think about it, his base defense, maybe this is off of total defense, so I guess you can stack it up, but his base defense, that's like 300 extra defense if he's at base, so not so great. When Tempering Strike is active, I guess this is where the hammer thing comes in from the basic attack. When Tempering Strikes is active, every strike will apply a buff to one random ally within 3 tiles based on the current status of the hammer. Normal state applies a shield. He probably needs the shield, not his allies, right? Equal to 100% of the hero's defense for 10 seconds. What? So you're getting like a 10,000 shield? That's just not good. Not good at all. Yikes. Yikes, yikes, yikes. In the heated state, he applies both the normal state buff and damage increase. 10% damage increase for 10 seconds. That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. I mean, I don't know that I have another hero that provides other heroes a flat damage increase. Maybe that's his use. He just sits in a corner. But I think he does need to be attacking on this with every strike. So, I don't know. I feel like maybe some people that are more creative will find a way to do it. I feel like I'm just bitching about Azhor in this video, and we're not talking about gear. So for gearing, what you're going to want to do, ideally, I would say it sounds like. Let me see here. So is he doing any damage that's not on his basic? I guess his ultimate is not. So maybe what you want to do, and how much does the ultimate cost? Ultimate costs 1,900 when skilled, so that's still pretty high. I mean, if he's out there for a long time, you're probably going to want to put him in Soulbound Arcana. I don't have enough defense percent Soulbound Arcana gear, I don't think. So really what we're just going to do is we're going to assume that neither do you, because aside from him and Gon, there's really no reason to keep defense percent gear that has offensive stats. There's really no reason to keep defense percent gear for the most part anyway. However, what I've been doing is, in probably the vain hope that I'm going to get Gon at some point, I have been saving in the better sets some of the defense percent gear that has like crit rate, crit damage, attack speed, that kind of thing on it. So let's see what I have managed to save up. See, I have 2 defense bonus main stat gear in my bangles. I've got 4 in my amulets, and I have 1 in my rings. So yeah, you see the attack bonus. I don't know why I have this. I feel like maybe that was something that I leveled up for an event or something like that. Let me see if I can. Here we go. This is the kind of piece that you want. It would be ideal if this juicy gold attack roll right here was actually flat defense. That would make this a perfect piece for somebody like Azhor, or somebody maybe some unreleased hero in the future that is going to have defense-based damage scaling. Is having high rolls in all of these stats, but defense bonus is the main stat. I guess you could also potentially have a crit damage piece that has defense percent and flat defense on it. That would be good as well. Those are really going to be your 2 options for the right side pieces. And just like any other damage dealer in the game, you're going to want to build them that way. If the same holds true for the defense scaling, then likely the optimal for most content is going to be 2 defense percent pieces plus 1 crit damage piece. So here's another one that is okay. There's no crit damage on it, but it does have attack speed and crit rate. Here we go. Another one. Attack speed, horrible attack speed roll, crit rate and crit damage. So these are the kinds of pieces that you're going to want to put on him. I don't think that you can really use him as a tank, at least not in late game stuff. With the base stats that he has, he is going to get walloped by everybody that comes in contact with him. He is not going to be able to do the job very well. So If you do feel compelled to use him, which I don't think I would recommend at the moment, what I would do is see if you can accumulate some defense-based pieces with decent stats on them. On the left side pieces, I'd almost advocate for just putting him in a broken set, or maybe a whirlwind set might be ideal for him. The problem is that if you look at the left side gear sets, you've got a Mortal Warrior, which does have 10% defense on it, but it's only 10%, and the main thing that this set provides is 25% HP as the bonus. So it's 25% HP, 10% defense. 10% defense is nice, so I guess in absence of anything else, you might want to do that. However, I have a feeling that by picking your two best statted, broken set pieces, so just your two pieces with the highest total defense on them, so in that case, they should have defense percent as one of the subsets, flat defense is another, plus preferably crit damage, crit rate, one of those, one or both of those would be the ideal. That's probably going to be, in aggregate, is going to result in higher defense overall than you would get by wearing a Mortal Warrior. So I think that is the problem. Life Force is a tank set that unfortunately does not provide any defense on it, so it is just HP percent. It's almost like the developers knew that defense was terrible. Just saying. Calamity is attack percent. That's not going to help him. Annihilating might be good, so you could put some extra crit damage on him. Whirlwind, like I was saying, I think that's probably going to be your best bet, especially if you want to stack more attack speed and give you a little bit more freedom to put some pieces that don't have attack speed on the right side. That might be the way to go. These other sets, none of them really make any sense. So I think, yeah, I'd say Whirlwind, a Mortal Warrior potentially if you have some with high defense percent and defense flat stats on them. So those would be good. And Annihilating Might potentially as well would be an option. So that's the way that I would go. As far as the artifact is concerned, I actually, unfortunately, I pulled his exclusive. During the ultimate increases block by 1. That's kind of cool, but again, we talked about how he's not going to be a very good tank, so I don't know that I want to be blocking any more than that. When in the heated state, the chance to inflict stun increases by 10%. Okay, that's kind of cool. Each attack restores the hero's HP equal to 3% of max HP. So he's got some self-sustain in there, which is kind of nice. I can say right now, in the higher difficulty content, that's not going to help you out. That is not going to be enough to keep you up. I guess it can contribute if you've got a healer or something like that, but considering that his base stats are trash, I think in aggregate that's not going to be something that really makes enough of a difference to make you want to use him over somebody else. Let's see. The other options for artifacts, you could of course put him in the Bastion Ring, which is the best mitigation artifact in the game as far as I'm concerned. If you're going for a damage dealing build, this is probably the one you want, this Bloodlust Phylactery. So increases damage permanently by 1% when damage is taken, stacks up to 15 times, and as you promote it, you just up the cap on those stacks. So I'm not sure if it's 2 every time. That would be 2, 4, 6, 9, or 6, 8, 10. So you would get up to 25 stacks. So you'd get a 25% damage boost, which is nothing to sneeze at. That's not bad, but I don't think he does much damage anyway. So that's probably not going to make him viable in any case. I don't think there's any other ones that you're really going to want to use among the mythics. You could probably find some uses in some of these. That's not going to work for him. But mostly Defender artifacts, unfortunately, are all based around the idea that Defenders are damage absorbers, not damage dealers, and he doesn't do either very well. So, yeah, I don't know who's watching this video. If you do, I think your main takeaway from this is that you shouldn't invest into Azhor. I can't really recommend him, even Faction Trials. Even in Faction Trials. I don't know if we can go to it, because Infernals is not up right now, but let's take a look and see if we can. It's not going to let us in there, but there are some requirements that in later stages where you have to bring certain team comps in there, and one of them is that you need to deploy an obscene number of fighters, and because there's a need for range DPS in as well, it essentially means that you can't really bring a defender into, I think it's the last stage or the second to last stage of the Nightmare Faction Trials, so he's not going to help you out there either. You're better off with the Toreador, you're better off with the Baron. They have loads of really good fighters in that. Fighters and defenders, truth be told. I mean, let's just take a look at the Nightmare Faction real quick, because this is who he's kind of competing for spots with. Oop, not guild. gallery. Let's go back up to the Nightmare Council. And so we've got Azhor. He's terrible. Toreador is not a great tank, but he's actually a really good champion situationally, and he can do some damage, which is really nice. I don't know who this lady is. She is one of the few epics that I don't actually have. I guess it's just Toreador and him. So if you do need a Nightmare Defender, and you don't have Toreador, which, you know, in all likelihood you don't. Oh, I'm sorry. What am I talking about? Baron. Baron is a beast. And he arguably is a legendary. He may as well be a legendary. So I would certainly use him over Azhor. That would be my recommendation. So hopefully I've given you some insight into how you can gear Azhor if you do make the objectively bad decision to use this champion. But hopefully it's helpful to you. If you don't have any other options or you are early game, I'm sure he can do some work for you. But I wouldn't put anything more than just dust skill ups into him. I wouldn't use any Lego skill crystals into him, and he would be very low on the priority list for ranking up to 6 stars and leveling and really even promoting and things like that. Unless you're going to use the hero, it's really not worth it. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the content. If you did, please like and subscribe. I'm going to be putting out more in the future, but every new subscriber really, it makes me walk around with a little hop in my step, throughout the day. So I would really appreciate it. Other than that, if you want to leave a comment and let me know if you have any thoughts on the video, if you disagree with anything I've said, I'd be more than happy to talk about it. So I do try to reply to every comment. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a great day.